Recently, we've had many requests from our audience that would like us to cover the topic of Christians watching anime. Should they be avoided, or do believers have freedom to watch them? And if they do have the freedom to, are there guidelines to be aware of? So for Christians who are trying to find answers regarding anime, I have 3 thoughts for you to think about. Thought number 1, some anime can be triggers for sin. 1 John chapter 2, verse 16. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life is not of the Father, but is of the world. In this passage, John talks about the world, and he clarifies that when he talks about the world, he doesn't mean the physical world with the land, sea, and bunnies. The world he is referring to is ungodly living, and it consists of 3 things: the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. Where the lust of the flesh refers to fulfilling the sinful desires of your body, the lust of the eyes refers to the sin of covetousness and seeing things and wanting them, and the pride of life, which refers to the sin of lifting yourself up above others. So when it comes to watching anime, please note that the studios behind the animation want you to watch their shows. And sometimes in order to get you to do so, they'll include explicit themes that may bring you to a place of lust or pride. So if any anime acts like a trigger for you and brings your mind into a place that wants to sin, I'd recommend that you stay away from that anime. And I should also note that while certain anime can lack suggestive themes, they can still turn into a sin if they become an idol. And they become idols when they consume one's life and cause people to give more time, honor, and attention than they give to God. Thought number 2, some anime can be okay for others, but not for you. 1 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 9. But you must be careful so that your freedom does not cause others with the weaker conscience to stumble. In this passage, there was a conflict between 2 sides that was happening in the church, and it had to do with food offered to idols. Back in Corinth, there were temples that worshipped other gods, and food was being offered to them. And some Christians said that it was okay to eat that food, while others said it wasn't okay. Christians who thought that it was okay thought, yeah, this food is offered to false gods, but there's only one God. Those idols don't mean anything, so I can eat this food because they're really offered to nothing. And then the other side says, these foods are still offered to idols, so to eat them would be supporting those false gods. Paul responds to this problem in 1 Corinthians chapter 8, verses 10 to 13. For if others see you with your superior knowledge eating in the temple of an idol, won't they be encouraged to violate their conscience by eating food that has been offered to an idol? So because of your superior knowledge, a weak believer for whom Christ died will be destroyed. And when you sin against other believers by encouraging them to do something they believe is wrong, you are sinning against Christ. So if what I eat causes another believer to sin, I will never eat meat again as long as I live, for I don't want to cause another believer to stumble. So Paul concludes this conflict by telling Christians, yes, certain believers may have the freedom to eat meat offered to idols because they know there's only one God, but there may be others who in their mind believe it's wrong. So if those believers who think it's wrong see other Christians eating that meat, they will be encouraged to do that wrong thing because of the freedom of those Christians. So we can utilize the same concept for anime. I remember one time a certain anime was recommended to me by a really good friend of mine, and he's a solid Christian. So I tried watching it and stopped after the first episode. Let's just say that some characters were a little too revealing for my taste. And after my friend asked me what I thought, I said that I couldn't watch it. And the reason why is because there were images that were too provoking for me in that anime. Now, did my friend have the freedom to watch that anime? Yeah, and I know that his walk with God is strong, but I knew that if I were to watch that show, it would make my walk with God weaker. So when it comes to anime, you need to ask yourself if certain anime will bring you to a weaker place with God. And you also need to understand that while other people may be able to watch certain anime and have their walk with God not be affected, that may not be the case with you. So talk to God about it. Be honest with yourself and your specific struggles, and determine if a certain anime will leave you in a weaker state with God. And thought number 3, some anime can be teachers of powerful life lessons. Matthew chapter 13, verse 34. All these things Jesus spoke to the multitude in parables, and without a parable, he did not speak to them. In this passage, it explains how Jesus taught many people through parables or stories. And I have to say, certain anime have taught me some valuable life lessons through the stories that they tell. And a lot of them can be rooted in the Bible. In this one anime I watched, a man's wife passed away, and she gave birth to their baby girl. And the husband was distraught and depressed, and he let his in-laws raise his daughter. And essentially the anime told the story of how he learned to handle the loss of his wife and how he accepted his role as a father to raise his daughter. And it was all filled with painful flashbacks of his deceased wife because his daughter looked just like her. And here I learned the lesson that pain can bring us to a place of greater appreciation. And I also learned that I might cry more than the average person. Now, I won't go over every lesson that I've learned through the anime that I've watched, but I'll give you 3 lessons that I've learned through some of my favorites. Lesson number 1, a lesson of heroism. A true hero is marked by self-sacrifice and will run towards danger while others run away. Lesson number 2, a lesson of life. Life isn't always guaranteed, but that's what makes life beautiful. So love while you can and enjoy who you have. And lesson number 3, a lesson of sacrifice. The lives of people are worth more than living another day, because sometimes our sacrifice is what people need. So please note that Jesus used parables and stories to teach lessons, and sometimes we can see similar lessons being taught through an anime, and we can be encouraged by them. Okay? So if you're a Christian and you're curious as to whether you can watch anime, I would encourage you to remember these 3 thoughts. Thought number 1, some anime can be triggers for sin. Thought number 2, some anime can be okay for others, but not for you. And thought number 3, some anime can be teachers of powerful life lessons. To be completely honest with you guys, I do love and enjoy quite a few anime. Anything animated, I love. So I'm a huge fan of Studio Ghibli, Disney, Pixar, DC, Marvel, and anime. Essentially anything that makes me cry or feel inspired. So this script was actually a lot of fun to write. But I must caution believers, be careful of what enters your mind. Certain shows I do stay away from because I know that my mind can be brought to a place of weakness if I watch it. So please exercise wisdom, talk to God about it, and always remember, Jesus loves you.